Welcome back to Beyond the Helmet. And of course, that is hashtag BTH Pod, where we are learning about success from guys that are doing it at the highest level. And I am pleased now to bring you Luke Tenuta, someone that is making that transition from being a college football athlete to a pro athlete, having been an all-conference offensive lineman at Virginia Tech. Luke, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
I appreciate you taking the time. Like we said kind of before we jumped on here, you just played in the Shriners game, and now I'm sure it's just like hardcore NFL combine prep, because of course you did get that invite, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But do you mind just talking about mentally trying to stay calm during this process, and like physically right now, what are your days looking like? How are you going to get ready for the combine?
Just coming back from the Shriners game, kind of the first time putting on the pads since December. So, you're a little bumped up and stuff. And I'm down here at Exos, Pensacola. So they do a great job, making sure we're recovered and stuff before we jump back into the combine training and all that good stuff. But, basically right now we're just in combine mode, making sure we're testing all of our stuff, make sure we're fit. We're ready to go for when the combine comes up here soon. So it's fun. And I'm enjoying the process now. It's really fun.
So is it a little weird because, you put so much on film, right? That's kind of how you expect people to grade you and figure out, can you play or not? But all of a sudden now you're under a microscope. Like, wait, how big is this guy's hands? How long are his arms? Like all these little things. Is it weird just getting kind of like picked apart like this?
It's definitely interesting. Yeah. Especially when they're doing all the measurements, especially like hand, making your arm, your wingspan. I mean, I understand it. They're trying to really get us, how actually long is this guy and everything. But yeah, it's definitely different having them measure everything, the little ins and out of you and stuff. But, that's kind of what I expected when I was talking, going into this journey, going into the whole process of going through, all-star games and combines. But, it is what it is. And, I think it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like you said, you think, you put out all the film and stuff and that's what they're going to, but you also got all these other things they can look at. So.
Now, as part of like the whole Shriners game experience, right? It's not just the game, it's all the practice and everything that goes into it. Did you have a favorite part of the experience, or is there anything in particular like that maybe you learned that you didn't expect to? Because I'm sure for anyone that's not familiar, you're working with coaches, of course, you're working with a brand new group of guys, but do you have exposure to any NFL teams interviewing you all or getting to know you a little bit?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, going into the All-Star game. I knew I was going to get hands-on coaching, by NFL coaches. I thought that was awesome, getting to sit in a room, go through, an actual NFL playbook, learn the plays, hang out with all these different great offensive linemen throughout the country there. So I really did enjoy it. Obviously it was cool, how they set it up. You get interviewed by all these teams. You kind of get kind of a feel what the combine's going to look like when you do interviews there too. So I think they did a great job when it came, getting you exposure, all the scouts there watching you practice and everything when it came to all the interviews. And really, it was just really cool to get hands-on coaching by NFL coaches. I mean, there's nothing like that. So that was fun. I really did enjoy and it's for a great cause, with Shriners Hospital. So I really did enjoy my time. And Vegas was my first time in Vegas. So definitely was cool to be out there.
Now, when you play good, what happens in Vegas doesn't just stay in Vegas. People hear about that. So that's the one good thing anyway, that they can leave Vegas. But part of the measurements and stuff came with you're 6'7", which isn't news to anyone that ever lined up against you. But man, you are a big offensive tackle. Just getting a little bit more serious. When you think about playing the position, at 6'7", there's going to be a lot of pros that come to having that sort of size. But that's got to kind of come at some sort of con, some sort of expense for having all that size. Have you found it? Now, anyone that's read your draft report type of stuff, any sort of scouting report on you, man, you're quick. So you didn't get slower with all this size, but like playing with such a big frame, man, what's the toughest part? Is it like maybe dealing with smaller defensive linemen? Like, how do you? I mean, it's the only thing you've ever known, but how do you feel about just sort of, I don't know, if anyone would ever come at you with your size almost being a detriment?
I mean, yeah, obviously being a taller guy, and I know I measured in, I think I was 6'7", like 7'8". So hopefully at the combine, I want to be 6'8" flat. That's what I'm really, I think.
I cheated you a little bit. All right, almost 6'8".
Yeah. I better at the combine. Hopefully I'm just 6'8" flat, or might be a little taller, because I always thought I was taller than 6'7". But anyway, yeah.
push the head.
Obviously, like being a taller lineman, obviously, you need to be a knee bender, not a waist bender. You can't bend over, especially in pass pro. You can't get caught leaning. And my big thing was, especially going into this fall, flexibility is a big thing. You got to be a knee bender. You got to play, even though you're tall, you got to play low, especially in the run game and stuff. You can't stand straight up. And that was always, I know that's always something that people bring up, being a taller offensive lineman. Your pad level is key. You can't be, high, because those little guys, not little guys, but guys smaller than you will get it right up under you and drive you. So, I mean, that's kind of always been, people say that's a big disadvantage, but obviously there's a lot of advantages being this tall and this, big frame. And, it takes, you either got to go around me or through me. So, I mean, they're all definitely, I think it's all advantages, but there's definitely people that bring up, you got to bend your knees, flexibility is key. Always have core strength, obviously. But yeah, I definitely say the one disadvantage people will bring up is definitely, has to key stay low, and pad level is always key. But yeah, I'd say that's probably the one thing people will bring up.
So do you watch film? Like I live in New England, so like I've watched Trent Brown. This is his second stint with the team, but I mean, he's got to be like 6'8" territory as well. Do you watch film on like huge offensive tackles to kind of get a feel for what works at the next level?
Yeah, obviously I love watching the big time, Trent Williams and, David Bakhtiari, I always mess up his name, when he's healthy, obviously. But yeah, I mean, one tackle I actually watched, I remember watching him in college when he was at Notre Dame, was Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle. I know he got hurt this year for San Francisco, but he's a 6'8". He's just like me, tall guy. He bends his knees well. I always remember watching him at Notre Dame, and I kind of followed him as he went to the NFL. But another taller guy just like me. He does a good job of staying low, though. I mean, I know he got hurt this year, but and there's just some taller guy like Nate Soldier back in the day when he was with New. Like, he's a tall guy. I think he actually is like almost 6'9". And, obviously he kind of got older and then went to the Giants. But back in the day, watching him, he was a skinny guy like me when he went to college at Colorado, and then he just kind of flourished when he got to the NFL. So there's definitely, I like watching taller offensive tackles and seeing what they do and how they able to stay low and still move well side to side. So I always like finding the guys that kind of look like me when it comes to playing.
And I mean, Trent Williams is such a savage to be as good as he is this late in his career. I mean, hey, if you can touch that type of career, you did more than one thing right.
You did something right.
But so this is no knock on Nate Solder, but it feels like Nate Solder benefited from really good coaching, or whether it's from other players, but obviously there was something about him in first round pick. I mean, obviously someone that had a lot of potential that he lived up to. But does it make you think, like, not that coaching isn't important, but it can kind of make or break you, just almost like a good scheme can make or break a team. Like the right coaching can absolutely take you from being an average player to a Pro Bowl player, or maybe not making the roster to making a roster.
Yeah. I mean, obviously coaching, I always think super important. I mean, I grew up in a football family. My dad's a college coach for 40 years. My older brother was a college coach. Now he's the head coach of a high school, but I'm always going to agree. Coaching is very important, but I mean, when you go to the NFL, you're getting the best of the best coaches out there. So, it is important to coach. You got to listen to your coaches. You got to, do what they're teaching you and do it well. But yeah, I'd agree. Coaching is a big thing that comes in. You got to make sure that you're listening, you're understanding. And when it comes to scheme, obviously, scheme fits for different guys when offense line, more outside zone, power, stuff like that. But when there's a lot of things that, like you said, can, make or break someone. But I think when you get into the league, the big thing is being especially a rookie, you watch the vets and you listen to those coaches because they're getting paid. They're getting paid, and they're the best of the best in the NFL. So, I mean, there's just take it from the Shrine Game. I mean, learning so much from those NFL coaches, really, I'm excited for it wherever I go and end up. I'm excited to, learn and continue getting better. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah. One of the themes that's really emerged on this podcast is coaching, obviously very important, but players make other players good too. But sometimes for some guys, it's even more important that they had that veteran guy, or, if they're that offensive lineman, that defensive lineman teammate really helped them sharpen their skills. An easy thing to point out, being an offensive lineman at Virginia Tech these last few years, is, Christiandarasaw. I mean, what, if anything, because maybe it wasn't that important for you, having someone like that obviously goes on to be a first round pick. Were you able to really gain a lot from, almost like you being the age difference isn't that big, but him just being like at least a year ahead of you, were you able to take anything from what he was doing or how he approached being a pro?
Oh yeah, CD. He always, he had he wasn't the most vocal guy. People would say that, but he had the attitude and the mindset of what every player should have. I mean, when he did everything the correct way you should do when it came to watching film, studying, learning everything, going over, hey, this is the scheme this is our, we're going to do this week. And, it was always cool getting to hang out, when we're in the film room, pick his brain on certain things. Hey, if this guy, look at his angle here, where's his first step going? What's his giveaway when you're looking at these edge guys? What's going to tell you what he's about to do? It was always cool getting to hang out with him. And, we weren't that far of it. I think he's a year older than me. Well, he went to prep school, but yeah, he was a year older than me. And, getting to, he was on the left side, obviously, in 2020, 2019, when I was on the right side, but it was always cool again to, watch him play, learn new things from him, kind of, always kind of just follow what he did. I know we had different stances. Obviously, he's a lot lower in his stance, but it was always kind of cool again at, at practice, he'll teach me something new when it comes to my hands or in pass pro, but there's nothing like, you got to literally play with a first round pick. And it was that offensive line in 2020. We had him, Lasita Smith, Brock Hoffman, and then we had Nestor was next to me at right guard. That was a cool group and a nice group to, be around. So it was fun.
So part of that really good offensive line, but not in part, but like in tandem with that, this guy, Khalil Ebert, has a good season. Does the offensive line make the running back? And I'm not pointing out Khalil in particular, but like, man, when you have a good unit, all of a sudden you can almost put anyone back there. Can you just, I'm sure you've seen it. Again, this is not a knock in any way against Khalil, but like when you have any unit that's working like at their highest level, like all of a sudden running the ball is easier. Offense is a little easier.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's no question about that. That's our job up front is to make holes. Then when it came to Khalil, he had a vision, especially we loved in 2020 the outside zone. He had the vision that I've never seen before when it came to cutting that back. He was special. That's my guy. He's doing great things for the Bears, but obviously that in 2020, always get the running back to the unblocked hat. And the thing about Khalil, he would make that unblocked hat miss and he'd keep going. So, it was, we had a great offensive line. We had a really great running back. So when you have those two, it goes great together. But yeah, Khalil's vision was something else when it came to running the ball.
No, but a huge part of playing offensive line, I imagine, is the mentality. Like the prep, physically you got to get right, mentally you got to watch the film. But when it comes to actually game day, you're another guy that can play with a mean streak. Did you have to sort of flip a switch, or what's it like for you just being able to play at your peak? What kind of process do you have to go through?
All week I'm watching film. I'm gonna know everything about the guy I'm going against. They flip sides when it comes to field or boundary. I'm going to know everything about every defensive end I'm going to go against that week, or interior. I'm going to know everything about the front seven, honestly, and usually the secondary too, because I love watching when it comes to. But anyway, when it comes to preparing for a game, just go through the week. Know what you got to do, know what you have to do, and then when it comes to that Saturday, I wouldn't say there's a switch that flips on because I'm always kind of have the mentality. But when I step across that line, it's kill or be killed. You're gonna go out there and I'm gonna win every rep no matter what. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win that rep. I don't care, pass pro, run block. I'm gonna do whatever it takes.
This sounds like a face paint guy. You were a big face paint guy, and I feel like everything you're saying lines up with the look. Did you ever have to worry about the hair getting in it? Sometimes you really put it on.
The hair, with the face paint?
Yeah.
So I used to do just like right here and go straight down like the triangles. And then CD used to go over the nose. And I think he was back. We played UNC this year and he obviously didn't start the NFL season. He was back and he told me to go over my nose. That's when I started doing over the nose and really had a lot on this year. So I kind of just followed what he did in 2020. But yeah, I used to be like right there. It wasn't too much. And then this year I did what he did and went over the nose. And I didn't have as much as Brock. Brock had like the sides and everything, but he has the mohawk, so he was able to do it. I didn't like going like all the way because then it get and your helmet would be everywhere. But yeah, eventually I started going like CDs.
Now, if I have this right, your dad played defensive back at Virginia, not Virginia Tech, but still close to home. And he joined Tech staff as a defensive analyst. What was it like having your dad in the building, even if, not the same side of the ball or anything?
It was awesome. I mean, I learned a lot from him this year, getting to hang out in his office every day, go bother him every day, when I'm done working out or done with practice, getting to bother him, getting to watch film with him. And then they lived, I think not even probably it was more than five, probably like 7 minutes away from me. Him and my mom lived right down the road, pretty much in Blacksburg. So it was cool having him down there. I know he really enjoyed it. My mom loves Blacksburg. And it was just, there's nothing like getting to hang out with my pops every day and getting to pick his brain, especially, going against defenses and everything, having him sitting there and showing me stuff. I mean, it was awesome. That was the funnest year of football was this year, having him around. So it was really cool. And yeah, he did. People always bring up that he played at football at UVA. My mom actually played basketball at UVA. So they're both 2 UVA grads. And then I went to Tech.
Man, that must not have gone over well in the house when you made the call.
Oh, they actually loved it. They love Virginia Tech. Their whole house is full of Virginia Tech stuff. I mean, my whole mom's office is all VT stuff. I have her VT blankets. They're Hokies now, but yeah, they loved it.
I want to ask about the decision, but just to clarify, it's not like your dad just happened to get a job at Virginia Tech because his son happened to play there. I mean, just to set the record straight for anyone that doesn't know, I mean, your dad has 40 years of experience in coaching, including 19 seasons as a defensive coordinator. So this was someone that came in very much qualified and brought value to the room.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously he's, older guy, but he's on the back end of his career. But I mean, he was, he's coached a lot of places, done a lot of great things, being a defensive coordinator, and has had an outstanding career, one of the best defensive minds, to coach. And I thought it was really cool. I mean, he was his last year at Cincinnati, he was an analyst. So, I mean, getting him to come down here and be an analyst, I mean, I think it was really beneficial for the team and everything. So I thought it was really cool that he was able to come do that.
Totally. But I do want to ask about that decision, because I mean, you were a 3-star recruit. I mean, certainly you had interest in. I bet you had options. What ultimately led you to go into Blacksburg?
I loved Virginia Tech. I love Coach Weiss. He's my offensive line coach and my main recruiter. So I kind of knew what I was getting. I was in high school. I played O-line my senior year a little bit. We just ran the ball, so I never did a pass or anything. But I was really a defensive end all through high school. I didn't want to play offensive line in college. My first few offers from MAC schools and Conference USA schools were for defensive end. So I originally really thought I could play defensive end in college. And then eventually, going into my senior, my pops told me, hey, you're not going to play defensive end. So, I mean, but when it came to Virginia Tech, I visited, that was in my top 3. It was them, UNC, West Virginia, and UCF when Frost was there. And I guess Nebraska, when he went there, I got offered by Nebraska too. That was after I visited Tech. But, I visited Tech. I went to watched Enter Sandman, got to meet all the coaches. That atmosphere is something different when it comes to, I mean, there's nothing like that. And that just the town of Blacksburg. I mean, that's a true college town, loves football, loves everything Virginia Tech. So, I mean, it was really home when I visited. I knew I wanted to go there. And, my parents were supportive of everything. My mom was on all my visits with me. Obviously, my pops couldn't come because he was coaching, but he loved it too. And I know he loved Coach Fuente and Coach Weiss. So, I mean, it was an easy decision when it came down to it.
Love it. Went this entire time, didn't bring up Coach Fuente once. Man, what was it about him that made him, a great coach? And I say that knowing that the win-losses probably didn't reflect all the effort and energy that went into that program, because obviously he's a guy that brings a lot of talent, was highly respected going in. So just now that you have a little bit of hindsight as you're turning the chapter on the college career, what do you think about him? What made him a good coach? And if you want to touch on it all, maybe why sometimes it didn't work out as well, particularly in the win-loss column. So again, it's not a reflection on any one person.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Fuente, obviously, outstanding coach, great person, came from Memphis, followed a legend of Coach Beamer, which is obviously really hard coming into that situation. I think he did a fantastic job when it came to it, honestly. just has the coach's mentality of, we're going to go to work, I mean, just a guy. He wasn't a guy, during winter workouts. Some coaches, they let the strength staff handles it. He's out there at 5 a.m. running the drills. So I know guys always respect that and loved how involved he was. When it came to everything, he really cared about you, not just as a football player, but as a person. Like, he cared what you're doing in the classroom. He cared, how's your, what you're doing outside of make sure you're doing right off the field, make sure everything's going well with your family. I just have a tremendous amount of respect for him, the way, he coached, and he was just a great guy when it came to, knowing everyone. Just, he treated everyone respectfully, and just the way, no matter who you were, no matter, what job you had in the facility, he knew everyone's name, when it came down to like anyone in the facility. But I mean, I have tremendous respect for Coach Fuente, and I'm just so thankful, he gave me the opportunity to come to Virginia Tech. But yeah, back to the win-loss thing. I mean, obviously you go back, you see games that, we should have won. That was close. I mean, you can't go back and change them, but, obviously there's some games that, were out of his control that we lost. You can't always just blame that. I mean, I think when it came down to, you can't always just blame. I mean, he is the head coach, and, being a head coach, the blame's always going to go on you. But I mean, there's definitely some games, we would have loved to have back in Blacksburg, especially in that 2019, 2020, 2020, even this year too. But I mean, I will always have a tremendous respect for Coach Fuente and everything he did for me and my family.
Sometimes just the way it goes, man. Football is an odd shaped object. It just doesn't bounce the way you think that it should.
Yeah, it's the game though, game of inches. So, but that's why you love it.
Well, one win that you got off the field while you were there is with Micahs Backpacks. This is something that clearly you've posted about on social media, but for anyone that's unaware, do you mind just talking a little bit about what that foundation was and what it means to you?
Oh yeah, it's a foundation. I learned about it in 2020 in one of my I was taking summer classes. I had a media class that you had to find a foundation, write about it, do like a Google slideshow or something. And I found this foundation, read about it, went actually to Micahs Backpacks and, their whole setup, and saw it, talked to everyone that worked there, all great people, what they really did, found out, kind of during COVID in 2020, schools shut down, kids aren't getting lunches that can't afford them, and all these donations they got, they packed lunches themselves, all the canned goods, different types of food. And they have this bus that literally has Micahs Backpacks on it. It's this orange bus, and they drive it around, and you see all these kids running to it and all that stuff, waiting to get and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So when NIL came out, I thought, there's something good I can do with this, fortunate enough to get money from NIL. And so all my NIL earnings went to Micahs Backpack. And, and then when my parents moved down, my mom found out about it, and my mom knew about it after I told her for the project, but she really supported it when, I know she would donate a lot of canned goods and stuff, but, I thought it was just a really cool foundation. It does, I know it's not a huge foundation, but in the Blacksburg community, it's very well known. And I was just happy to, be a part of it and able to give back, because I know how excited those kids are and they see that bus coming up. So there's nothing like seeing them all run out there and go. It's awesome. So I'm really thankful I was able to contribute in some way.
So cool. And as your platform's about to explode, I mean, you're going to be able to, if you choose to continue to work with them, I mean, you're going to be able to drive even more attention and traffic there, which is the beauty about knowing something and caring about something and having a platform to speak about it, is you're going to really be able to legitimately help children. Like, without question, you're going to be able to make a difference. That's as big as it gets.
Yeah, it's awesome to think about that and know that, I can help out even bigger now and, give more money and, be a part of it more. So I'm excited. I really am.
Very cool. Well, as we get towards wrapping it up here, I did just want to ask one last question, and that is, you majored in sports media and analytics, if I have that right.
Yeah.
How much of school were you actually able to take to being a better athlete? It's very rare that guys get a chance to actually learn about something that can directly impact their ability to be a better athlete. How much of an overlap, if any, do you see there?
There was actually a lot, especially when it came to, media and stuff like that. The head of the major at the university is actually Bill Ross, and he used to be the voice of the Hokies, and he's still on ESPN and stuff like that. So, I think he taught 4 of my classes. So I was always, I learned a lot. It was definitely cool getting to, write about sports. It was definitely easier, to write about sports and, take different tests when it came to, how you should answer this, what if someone asked you that? But I mean, learned a lot about different sports, definitely, enjoyed the media part, not just about sports, writing about, different stories and stuff like that when it came to news stories and, all that good stuff. But definitely learned a lot when it came to the media part of that, how to answer questions, what not to say. It was cool. That was definitely a cool major. And pretty much every class I had with my tight end, James Mitchell, who was also in that major. So it was really cool. I know he enjoyed it.
No one is better prepared for you than you going into the combine process, I guess. You're not to slip up. You got everything figured out. All right. Well, man, to wrap this up, I got this little thing called the Gauntlet. Just got a couple quick hitter questions for you. What's most important in winning? Having the number 1 offense or the number 1 defense?
Number 1 defense, defense. I love defense. Defensive guy. Defense wins championships. So number 1 defense, you can stop them. You can find a way to put points on the board. So I'll go number 1 defense. I know my pops will be happy about that. So number 1 defense.
Pre-game ritual. Was there anything you had to stick to?
I had a certain playlist I like listen to. I had Phil Collins, Feel It Coming in the Air, and I had some old school ones. I had some good rap songs on there, but yeah, it was a variety of songs I always loved listening to when we came from the bus, and then we sit in the locker room. But yeah, I did have a pregame playlist. I had to listen to all the songs on there before we ran out. So
appreciate that. Players or scheme, which is most important in winning?
That's a good question. I think you got to use the scheme to fit the players you have. So I'll say players, mate. I'll say player. I know scheme's very important though, but you gotta have certain players for a certain scheme. So I'll go with players, but you go either way on that one because certain players with different schemes. But I'll go players.
No right answer.
Yeah, it's 50-50 on that one.
Now, of course, there's still a lot of football ahead of you, but right now, what is your favorite football memory?
Beating UVA this year and rushing their field at their place. There's nothing like that. And getting to, hold the cup up and jump up and down on their little V. So I'll remember that one forever. And getting to run around the stadium with the cup at the end. It was nice.
No, there's a big 40 time coming up. Are we going to get a 5 flat? Are you going to be a 5-5 guy? Or are you going to be a 5 flat guy?
I'll say it's going to be in between that. I mean, 5 flat would be great. I mean, we'll see, but I don't want to give everything away. But yeah, in between that for sure. But yeah, we'll see where 5 flat would be outstanding. But yeah, definitely in between. Not a 5-5, but definitely, 5. We'll see. I don't know. I don't want to give it away. So we'll see. I think that we run March 4th. We run. So we'll see on the day of March 4th exactly what it is.
All right, man, I got one last one for you. And it's just given everything you've been through to get to this point today, what's the best piece of advice that you'd give to 17, 18-year-old kid that just looks up to you and says, hey, man, how do I get there?
You got to give 100% every day because you never know. You never get the day back because you never look back and say, oh, if I did that day, or if I worked harder when it came to that, or hey, if I watched some more clips, these cut ups, maybe I would have known they were going to do this. Or you gotta take every day and give 100% no matter what you do. No matter if it's an off day, you got to go recover. You got to do whatever you can to recover. If it's a day where you're not practicing, you got to go watch film. You got to go sit in the film room and, just never take a day off and never sit there and be like, dang, I wish I could have done that day. That's kind of the best advice I ever got. You're never going to get the day back. So always give everything you got to that day, no matter what it is.
There you have it. Well, Luke, I know that you are on social media at Luke_Tenuta. Is there any place else people should be following you? I know that's Instagram and Twitter. I don't know if I'm missing anything.
That's pretty much all I'm on. Yeah, I don't really do TikTok or anything like that. I watch TikToks. I won't make any, but I don't really
Save
have
the
TikTok.
dancing.
Cool.
Well, man, I know there's so much ahead of you. Can't wait to see how it all plays out. I'll be watching all the way. Best wishes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.